Hello, everyone. I welcome all the fans to the greatest show on earth, which is The Vampire Diaries. I welcome you at a beautiful 10th episode that carries the name The Turning Point. And we began with the scene where we ended at the last episode, which is when somebody rings the doorbell at Aunt Jenna's house. She's opening the door, and we can see Logan. Jenna is mad at him, and she has every right to be. And he tells her to invite him in, and she says no. He then tells her, I know you. You're always one step away from maybe and a tiny nudge to yes, which was not a good move on Logan's part. And Jenna says, You just pointed out that I have no self control. Clever strategy. And she shuts the door in his face, which I absolutely adore. Logan then walks away from Aunt Jenna's house, and he sees the neighbor that is taking the trash out, and he's looking at him am I gonna eat him, am I not? And then there is a lady who's jogging, and she's running by Logan. They start looking at each other, and she stops, starts talking to him, and she recognizes him from TV because he's a news reporter, and she's like, oh, you've been missing from my TV, haha. So they chat a little bit, and then Logan eats her. And that is the first and intro scene into our 10th episode. And then we can see the graphics on the scene that states The Vampire Diaries. In the next scene, it's morning, and Jeremy is flipping through the journal of his ancestor Jonathan Gilbert. In the diary, the Jonathan Gilbert writes, I live in fear. It consumes me. In the early evening, when I see the sun begin to fade, the fear comes, because I know that the night brings death, which is a very poetic. I like it. Jeremy then pulls out a notepad or a pad for drawing. And Elena is watching him as he starts to draw, and she smiles to herself because, she's happy that her little brother, is doing much, much better. Elena goes downstairs, and Jenna is getting ready, and then Elena tells Jenna that Jeremy is drawing again. Jenna is asking about Stefan. She asks, you want Stefan update? He knows how I feel and where I stand, and I know where he stands, but it doesn't matter. He's leaving, moving away. Where's he going? I've stopped asking questions. The answers get scary. Yours leaves, mine returns. Logan? He's back. I didn't let him pass the front door. I hope you slammed it in his face. Medium slam. 3-strike rule, Jenna. You're not even allowed to watch the news. Exactly. No more Logan Scumfell. In the next scene, we are at the Salvador Mansion where Damon and Stefan are talking. And Stefan is asking Damon, so any idea where you'll go? I don't know. London, maybe. See some friends. You don't have any friends, Damon. You're right, Stefan. I only have you. So, where are we going? We're not going anywhere. I'm gonna live my life as far away from you as possible. And then somebody is ringing the doorbell, and Stefan answers the door, and there is Sheriff Forbes. She says she wants to speak to Damon. So Damon and Sheriff Forbes go outside, and she tells Damon that there has been another attack, a vampire attack. Damon says he doesn't understand because they killed that vampire, which he means Lexi. And Sheriff then tells him that she had to turn someone or multiple someones, and she says she's gonna mark it as an animal attack, but she doesn't know how long people will believe that. And she says she thought it's behind them. Damon then asks her, what are we gonna do? And Sheriff says, you're the only one who's taken on a vampire. I was hoping you will tell me. And then we also see Stefan that's inside, and he's listening to every word because of his very good vampire humor. In the next scene, we are at school, and we see Matt and Caroline who are talking to each other, and they're talking about what they were watching on TV last night, and they're making jokes and flirting. All of this sees Elena, and she asks Bonnie if she missed anything. And that it's a little bit weird, isn't it? And Bonnie says that Matt and Caroline are seeing each other, and that Caroline needs someone good like Matt and not a psycho bad like Damon is. And then Elena is asking Bonnie how is she doing, like with all the information like about vampires and stuff, and Bonnie says that she's super scared because Damon almost killed her, but she's also super grateful to Stefan because he saved her life. Bonnie is asking Elena if she saw Stefan, and she says no, and that maybe he's already gone. And then that Stefan thinks that if he leaves, he's gonna protect Elena, and that Elena doesn't really like know what else to do. She begged him not to go, but if she asks again, she's being selfish, and that it is what it is. Which I don't understand why she would be selfish to ask him again. Like, if there was a guy I liked, I would ask him again. Like, especially if I was 17, I would be like, please don't leave me, I love you, just don't go, you know? So, I don't understand the selfish part here. Bonnie then tells her that maybe it's for the best, and Elena is like, why? And Bonnie's like, well, what kind of future could you have with him if he stayed? And then a banner falls down in front of them that says the promise of your future, and Elena is like, did you just? And like, she thought that Bonnie with her powers like put the banner down, and Bonnie's like, no, I swear. And Elena then like gets mad, and she kind of like plops the banner down and walks over it. I also have a note to Matt and Caroline. So I googled it because I have heard about it before. I googled it, and Candace and Zach, who play Caroline and Matt, actually dated I think for about a year during filming, and it was somewhere around season 2nd and season 3rd, and they were definitely broken up before beginning of season 4. But they did date, and now Zach, Zach is dating Ariel, so Matt is dating Lexi now in real life. Or the last time I checked, they were. I hope they're still together. Then we are back at Salvatore mansion, and Sheriff is leaving. Right away when the door closes, Stefan like jumps on Damon, and he's like, what's wrong with you? You killed somebody? And Damon's like, get off me. A, don't touch me. B, if I had, I wouldn't have been so obvious about it. And C, there's another vampire in town. Stefan says that's impossible, but Damon's like, well, obviously it's not. And Stefan's like, well, who is it? And Damon's like, what do we care? We're leaving anyway, right? And he says that on purpose because he knows that Stefan will not leave now that like there's another vampire, right? So Stefan is like, I can't leave now, and you know that. How are we supposed to find this person? And then Damon's like, let the adults handle this, Stefan. Elena then goes to school, and she sees Stefan, who, by the way, looks super cute, even though I'm not a Team Stefan person. And then they share a very intense look between each other, and Stefan tells her, we have to talk, and she nods. Matt and Tyler are playing basketball in front of the school, and Tyler is asking Matt about Caroline. Matt is wearing like this black like tank top, or I don't know if boys can wear tank top. I think it's called a wife beater, but that's such a horrible name. But it's like a sleeveless shirt, let's say, and it's black, and Matt looks super good in it. And again, I'm not a Matt fan either, but boys are looking good this episode, I'm telling you. Then we go back to Elena and Stefan. Elena is asking Stefan who could be the vampire, and Stefan tells her he doesn't know, but it must be someone new because they're being reckless, or like because they're leaving the bodies, and so they're being reckless, and they're trying to send a message. Then Elena's asking if Stefan is sure that it cannot be Damon, and Stefan's like, well, I'm never sure it's not Damon, but he's been kind of like trying to keep low profile, so I don't think it's him. And then Elena's like, what are you gonna do? And he says that Damon is tracking them, and he just wanted to tell her because he promised her to tell her the truth from now on, and for her to be careful. And then Elena says that when she saw him, she thought that Stefan is coming to say goodbye, to which he says, not yet. Then we are back at Elena's house, where Jeremy is sitting on the couch and he's drawing, and Jenna is coming like towards him, and then they're talking about Jonathan Gilbert, who lived in the 19th century, who was their ancestor. Jeremy tells her that he was weird and he like wrote about demon and all these people like getting slaughtered. Like he actually calls him a freak. And Jenna says, yeah, he was a writer, short stories, horror stuff. And Jeremy's like, well, he wrote fiction. Figured he was just a lunatic or a drunk. And Jenna's like, well, he was a Gilbert. Probably a little bit of both. And Jenna grabs a book from like a bookshelf and she hands it to Jeremy. In the next scene, we see Caroline standing at some building. She has that vampire compass, or like a compass to find vampires. And then Damon appears. Damon then compels Caroline to forget what she was doing for him. Damon goes inside the building and someone starts shooting at him, and then we see that it's Logan. Logan is asking Damon why he made him into a vampire, but Damon tells him it wasn't him. Logan's like, but you bit me, and Damon explains to him that that's not how that works, and that Logan had to have a vampire blood in his system when he died to become a vampire. Logan then is super funny because he says, dude, it's not like the welcome wagon was waiting with a bunk cake and a handbook. It's been a learn-as-you-go process, 1 minute, I'm a small town, on the rise news guy, and the next thing I know, I can't get into my own house because my foot won't go through the door. And Damon's like, you have to be invited in. And Logan, well, I live alone. And Damon's like, oh, that sucks. And so then Logan tells him that all he can think about is killing people, that he cannot stop killing, and then Damon's like, yeah, but they only found one body. And Logan's like, I left one, I was tired. And then he shows him like a pile of bodies behind him, which is super creepy. And I'm not really a fan of Logan, but I feel like he plays this like new confused vampire pretty good. Like he's actually funny in the scene when he has that whole like speech like that there was no welcome wagon to like tell him what's the vampire life about. In the next scene, we are back at the school where there is career fair, and Mayor Lockwood goes to Sheriff and is asking her how are they doing with looking for the vampire that is killed that lady. She says that they don't have anything new yet, and he's asking what else they can do, and she says that they should just be happy now that they are in like a public place and that they know where their kids are. Then there is like a quick interaction between Jeremy and Tyler where they're like fighting a little bit, and it's gonna carry on later in the episode. Then we have Matt and Elena. Elena is asking Matt if he still wants to be an astronaut, and he tells her that he cannot believe she still remembers that. And she says, I remember the tinfoil you were wearing on your head. And Matt is like, I was 8. And it's like really cute that they show that Matt and Elena actually really know each other for a very long time. Like they have been friends since they were kids. So I really like that. And then Elena is asking Matt about Caroline, and he says that they're only friends. And then Caroline sees Elena and Matt talking, and she gets like upset and leaves. Matt then asks Elena about Stefan, and they have this like long lingering look between each other. And I'm not very I was never a fan of Matt and Elena together, and I've never really felt any chemistry between them. But I have to say, this was maybe one of the only scenes where I do see some chemistry between Matt and Elena. Then Stefan walks in. Then we are back at that building where Damon and Logan are together, and Logan is telling Damon about Jenna and that he cannot stop thinking about her and he wants to be with her and bite her and stuff. Damon tells him that means that probably he was in love with her like when he was still human. And Logan is asking Damon how can Damon walk around in the sun, and that the council never suspected them because it's not in the journals also about the sun. And Damon's like, with the journals? Yeah, the founding fathers, they passed down journals to their kids. And then he asks again, how do you walk around in the sun? Damon's like, who turned you? And Logan, who do you walk around in the sun? Damon says, who turned you? And then Logan threatens him that he's gonna kill him. And then Logan is basically like, well, you're not going to tell me anything. So he says, I have things to do, people to kill. Guess I'll be needing a little head start. And he shoots Damon and leaves. Then Elena is talking to Stefan, and he tells her that he wanted to be a doctor before everything happened, which he means before he became a vampire, and then he couldn't do that anymore. And Elena kind of finishes, yeah, because of the blood. And then he says, yeah, I've dabbled in a bunch of different things though. You didn't love anything enough to stick to it? No, I loved it all. I had to move on before anybody could notice I wasn't getting any older. She asks how long before that happens, and he says a few years usually, or sometimes shorter. And then Stefan says, what about you? What are your plans for the future? And Elena's like, I don't want to talk about my future, Stefan, because everything you're saying is making it perfectly clear that you're not going to be in it. And then Jenna comes in, and she says that Logan is there, and Stefan right away knows like what happened, that Logan is a vampire. Stefan goes out to the hallway and he sees Logan, and then Jenna and Elena follow him, and Logan asks Jenna, are you avoiding me? And I love her reply, it's a form of self-preservation. Stefan tells them both to go somewhere else, and he's asking Logan what he's doing here. Logan then asks him how can he walk around the sun, and Stefan tells him only him and Damon can be in the sun. And then Logan says, it would be very, very easy for me to expose you, meaning him and Damon. And Stefan tells him he can't walk around in the sun, and then he says, you can't, just can't. Don't ever threaten me again. And Stefan like spits out every word like this, and I absolutely love it. There's something so cool about the way he says it. Elena then asks Jenna what Logan wanted when they stopped at their house the other night, and Jenna says that he wanted her to let him inside. Elena realizes what's happening, and she tells Jenna not to ever speak to Logan again, which I find that funny, because imagine your niece would tell you you cannot talk to your ex ever again. You would probably be like, what's wrong with you? Like, why? Or like it would make no sense, I think. Then there's Alaric who comes towards Jenna and Elena, and he tells Jenna, I was hoping to see you tonight. And Jenna says career night is the new bowling, because Jenna is funny. Then Damon is calling Stefan and tells him that Logan attacked him and he shot him, and he wants to get a revenge. He only has to find him. To which Stefan says that he doesn't have to look for him because he's at the school. And Damon says, I'll be right there. Elena then asks Stefan if he wants to tell her something, anything you'd like to share, because, she means about Logan. At the next scene, we have Sheriff and Caroline. Caroline is showing her a booth with broadcast journalism career, and then Sheriff is like, what is that? What are you doing? And Caroline is like, following my future. There it is. And Sheriff is like, broadcast journalism? And Caroline is like, yes, broadcast journalism. Why are you looking at me like that? And Sheriff Forbes is like, you don't even read the paper, which is a kind of a cruel thing to say. I mean, I'm sure there were times where you went to your parents all excited about something and they were like, yeah, that ain't gonna happen for you, honey. So I feel like that's what was this scene for Caroline, and she gets upset and leaves. Then Logan goes over to Sheriff Forbes, and she gets immediately super nervous. Logan tells her, you bitch, I died for you, for this town. You've known me since I was 6, and you swept me under the rug like I was dirt. You knew what you were getting into. I was one of you. And Sheriff, totally savage, and now you're one of them. And I love it. Like, I love this I was one of you, and her, and now you're one of them. I think that's such a great exchange between the two of them. I also like the Sheriff in the scene because her face expression, like her being nervous and scared, she plays it so well. And then Logan leaves, and Sheriff is calling for backup, and she says that we have a V5. And I really want to know what the code is for V5, because I don't think that it's a fifth vampire, because I think they only were able to get Lexi. And if I'm mistaken, please let me know. But what is V5? Like, if it was vampire number 5, I would get it. But I don't think they've killed 4 vampires before this. So that was funny to me, V5. It sounds like that V8 like juice thing or something. At the next scene, Jeremy catches up to Tyler, and he tells him that he didn't know that Tyler drew. And Tyler's like, yeah, it's just an elective. And Jeremy tells him, like, it's good stuff. And Tyler's asking him, like, what do you think you're doing? Like, kind of like, why are you talking to me? And they're like we're not friends, like, you know, why are you like asking me? And Jeremy's like, well, it's just something else we have in common. And Tyler's like, what's the other thing, Wiki? Let's hang out because we did the same chick. Go be friends with one of many other guys that she screwed. There's no shortage of them. And then Jeremy like attacks Tyler, and they start to fight, and Alaric tells Jeremy to stop. Then Mayor Lockwood, which is Tyler's dad, tells them both to follow him outside. Alaric is asking the mayor, like, where is he taking them, and he says he only wants to talk to them. Caroline is then standing outside, and she's calling Bonnie and leaving her a voicemail and asking her where she is and that she's ready to go home. Then next to her pulls up a car, and Logan is driving. Logan is asking her if she needs a ride home, and then Caroline is mocking him, and she's like, oh my god, Logan fell, Channel 9, is that you? And because she knows him, so she's like making fun like that she recognizes him because he's famous. And he's like, I used to babysit you, Caroline Forbes, don't mock me. And then she agrees for him to take her home, and she tells him it's fate because she's interested in broadcast journalism and if she can ask him a couple questions. He says yes, but that first she has to buckle up, so she turns around to buckle her seatbelt, and then Logan grabs her head and he smashes it against the window, and she like passes out unconscious. Matt then meets up with Elena or Stefan, or like they pass each other in the hallway, and Elena is asking Matt if he saw Logan, and he says yes, and that he was taking Caroline home. Outside, the mayor Lockwood wants to make Tyler and Jeremy to fight, and because he's like, you don't fight inside like pussies, like just do it like real men, like when nobody sees you, all that shit. And they're like, oh, we're not gonna fight. So he like kind of wants to make them fight, and then Alaric comes in and he sees that, and he tells Mayor Lockwood like he doesn't understand what he's doing, but like stop doing that. And then Mayor Lockwood says he can have his job like very easily, and then Rick tells him that if he does that, then it's going to be the two of them fighting in the parking lot. And then Mayor Lockwood, when he's leaving with Tyler, he tells Rick, you marked yourself, to which Alaric just smirks. Logan then calls Sheriff that he has Caroline, but right away, or like suddenly, Stefan grabs Logan and shoves him out of the car. Then he goes get Caroline and takes her away. Damon is shooting at Logan and wants to kill him, but Logan tells him that there is someone else who's trying to get to the tomb underneath the church and that they can help him get in there. Damon is intrigued by this information, and he tells Logan to take him down and to make it look real because Sheriff's car is approaching at that moment. So Logan attacks Damon, and then he runs away, and Damon is telling the sheriff that he wasn't able to like take Logan down basically, or like overpower him. At the school, Stephanie is telling Elena that Caroline is okay, and that if Elena like now understands why the two of them cannot be together. She puts her hand on like his shoulder, but he pulls away, and Elena gets like upset about it, and she says, I'm starting to understand a lot of things. And then she offers Stefan to take him home. He's like, no, I'm fine, but then he agrees. Jeremy is going to Tyler again. Tyler is sitting outside, and Jeremy kind of like goes to him again for, I guess, strike 3, and he tells him that was really weird what happened with your dad, and he's asking Tyler if that's the reason why Tyler is the way he is, because of his dad, because he has to deal with that. And then Tyler like all of a sudden out of nowhere just punches Jeremy in the face, and Jerry's asking him, what is your problem? Tyler tells him that he doesn't need his pity, and Jeremy asks again, like, what's your problem, man? And Tyler says he doesn't know. And then we can see behind Tyler a giant full moon on the sky, which is again a hint for something that's gonna happen in later episodes. Then we have another scene of Elena and Stefan, and this one is really long and really beautiful. So let's enjoy that together now. It starts with Elena bringing Stefan home, and then she tells him, you asked me what I wanted my future to be. I wanted to be a writer. My mom sort of pushed me into that direction from the time I was able to read. She supported me, encouraged me, bought me my first journal, and then she died. And I can't see myself being a writer anymore. That was something that we shared. I know that you think that you put all this bad stuff into my life, but my life already had it. I was buried in it. Stefan tells her that he knows that it is hard for her to understand, but he is doing it for her, which he means like staying away from her. Then he gets out of the car and is going towards the house, and Elena gets out of the car as well, and she says, you don't get to make that decision for me. If you walk away, it's for you, because I know what I want, Stefan. I love you. And Stefan stops, but he's not turning around. So Elena kind of starts getting like tears in her eyes because she thinks like he's gonna just not reply and continue walking into the house or something. But then Stefan turns around and he kisses her. Like he walks to her and he kisses her. And we can hear a song, Cut by Plum, playing in the background. And again, this song is just like a big part of Vampire Diaries, at least for me. Because whenever I hear it, I think of the Vampire Diaries. So they start kissing, and then they go inside of the house, they kiss some more, and then eventually they make it into Stefan's room, and they start like making out and undressing themselves. In the next scene, which is a very big contrast to the scene before, we see Logan and Alaric. Rick tells Logan that he's a friend of Jenna, and he's kind of like getting at it with Logan, and Logan says it's not very smart of him to go after him. And then Logan is trying to attack Rick and kill him when we see a stake like kind of falls out of Alaric's sleeve, and he stakes Logan, and then he walks away. In the next scene, Tyler is asking Matt if he can drive him home, and Matt says that he's gonna drive him, and then he kind of snaps at Tyler and he tells him that, you know what, like, I like Caroline and she's the way she is, but I like her, okay? And Tyler is like, okay. And then Matt tells him, so stop your little bromance bitch act. And Tyler's like, okay. And next scene, we see Sheriff that's sitting on Caroline's bed. Caroline is asleep and Sheriff is like petting her hair, and then she's getting a call and she's walking away. We are back at the Salvatore house. Elena and Stefan are laying in bed and they're talking, and he's asking her if she's thirsty. She says yes, so Stefan go get her something to drink. Elena is all happy and, satisfied. She's smiling, and she gets up out of bed and she kind of looks like at Stefan's stuff in his room. Because before he left, they were talking about, like, she asked him if like the stuff that he has in his room, if that stays like throughout the years whenever he would go back and forth, if most of the stuff stays, and he says yes. So Elena looks at a couple of things, and then she found a photo of someone who looks exactly like her, and it says Catherine 1864 on the bottom of it. So essentially she freaks out, which, she's not to blame, everybody would. Sheriff is then calling Damon, and she tells him she doesn't know how he made it happen, but she says thank you. Damon doesn't understand what's happening, and Sheriff tells him that Logan has been found dead. Damon is like upset because he just went to the meeting with Logan at the Old Fell Church. So he's already there, and now Sheriff tells him that Logan is dead, so he can't get the answers about getting into the tomb. Stefan then comes back to his room, and then he sees that Elena is not there, and that she left her locket with the vervain laying on the photo of Catherine. So he realizes that she saw that, right, and she knows. And I don't understand in this scene how Elena was able to sneak out of Stefan's house without Stefan realizing it. Because like earlier in this episode, Stefan was able to listen to Damon's and Sheriff's talk when they were outside with the door closed. But he didn't hear her walking down the stairs, opening the front door, starting up her car, driving away. Like, that's really weird to me that he didn't realize. I know that the Salvatore house is big, but like Stefan has super hearing, so I think he would hear one of those things. But anyways, last scene is Elena, who is driving home. It's the middle of the night and she's crying because of what she saw. And then she sees someone standing in the middle of the road, and she starts braking, but she hits that person anyway. Elena's car flips on the roof, and then she's like upside down, and she sees that the person is laying on the road. But then the person starts like getting up, and like all their limbs kind of crack back in place, so she realizes it's a vampire, and it starts walking towards the car. Elena starts screaming, and all of a sudden, ending of the 10th episode. So this episode was packed with a lot of stuff, like packed with information and action and all of that. I have a couple of notes here. I don't know if you realized, but when two characters are talking with each other, they use their names so much. It's so annoying to me. It's like, I know Stefan, but did you ask her? No, Damon, I didn't ask her. Well, Stefan, I think you should have asked her. No, Damon, I don't think so. Like, nobody talks like that. When you talk to your friends, you don't like say their name and every time you're like going back and forth. Like, I think it's just too much. And I was thinking about it, like why they do that. And the only thing I can come up with is to kind of like maybe keep you in the story, like to pay attention, maybe to know who is who, what is happening, what are they talking about. Like, I have to Google it later. Maybe AI will know something that I don't, but to me it's like not really even annoying. It's just bizarre because in real life you don't use someone's name that much. I think I barely ever use my friend's name, like only if they're like far away from me and I want to call them to be like, hey Angela, like turn around, look at this. But I don't, like in the normal conversation face to face, I don't say, Angela, what do you think? Yeah, that's great. Well, Angela, like it's just too much. So that's one thing. Then another thing is that in this episode we learn a big piece of information, which is that there is somebody else who is trying to get into the tomb. Who is it? Then there is the big, first time having sex of Elena and Stefan, which I think was done very well. But I was thinking it would be nice if maybe they saved the cliffhanger of the Elena finding Catherine's picture until the next episode, because it would be just nice to just have them, have this pretty moment with the song and everything is all nice and cozy, and then they could have dived into all this drama later on. Which brings me to, since Stefan wanted to be super honest with Elena about everything, why didn't he tell her everything then? Like, why didn't he tell her about Catherine and Elena's connection to Catherine and all that stuff that we're gonna learn in the next, 3 episodes? Like, that's weird to me, because especially because Stefan learned that Catherine is in the tomb, right? Because Stefan thought that Catherine is dead. So, okay, that makes sense that Catherine is dead and Elena doesn't have to find out, right? But still, the stuff that we're gonna learn that Stefan knew, he still should have told her, like the whole family thing with I don't understand. But that makes no sense because he's like, I'm gonna tell you the truth from now on, and then he doesn't. So, I guess I get it because the writers needs to stretch out, and make more drama. Like, I understand. But if I was Elena and, I would learn this after we just had sex for the first time, I would be super upset too. So yeah, like I would feel better if he just laid it all out. He told her everything because that's what he wanted to do, and he still didn't. So whatever, Stefan. But anyways, I'm sorry that I've been absent last week. I just had a lot of stuff to do, a lot of work. I wasn't mentally doing super well. It wasn't even like really bad, but I was just exhausted, and I just didn't have like the right drive to do the episode. And also the preparing of the episode takes me so much time, and this one I just couldn't get it done. Like I was struggling with it a lot, and I really enjoy doing this podcast, so I didn't want to force it on myself too much. Like I want to still be able to enjoy it. So I kind of want to promise you that the episodes will come out every 2 weeks. I don't know if it's going to be every week. I'm going to try to do that because I do like that. But if not, then let's settle on 2 weeks. I'm going to try to do at least, once every 2 weeks. So we'll see how that goes. I also do these both in Czech and English, and that can get a little bit time consuming as well because then I have 2 recordings. I have to edit and upload 2 recordings. I kind of do when I do the preparing for the episode, I do it in both languages, and usually I have it written out in Czech, and then with some like conversations that I put in English to read later to you in English, but it still is a lot to do. So I'm sorry if you were waiting and it didn't come. I'm gonna try to do better, but it was just a lot last week. So I hope that's okay. On another note, I cannot believe that January is gone. Like January went by so fast. I don't even know where it went. And today is February 4th already, which is insane. But I hope that you're doing well in the new year. I'm kind of over this cold in New Jersey, and for the past 2 weeks we've had like -15, -10. It's not great, which in Fahrenheit, this is in Celsius, so don't get scared. We didn't froze here like all together, but it's pretty cold. I think in Fahrenheit it could be maybe like 10 degrees, I want to say. I have no clue. I'm still in the Celsius mode. But yeah, I'm pretty much done with the cold and cannot wait for spring. Spring is my favorite, spring and fall. So I'm really excited about that. I'm kind of happy January's over, even though it was like a split of a second. Like I went to bed one day and all of a sudden January was gone. So I really hope you guys are doing well and your new year started out well and everything's going good for you, because that's the most important thing. And to find happiness, wherever you can get it, in everyday things, in little things that we do and enjoy every day, because let's face it, life sucks sometimes. Life is hard. So I do hope that you're doing well, and I will be happy to see you, or not really see you, but you know what I mean, at the next episode, which will be episode 11. So have a great weekend, do something fun and relaxing, and I'll see you here next time. Thank you for listening.